Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So it's your girl Alexis, and on this video I'm going to talk about how did I fail my driver's class. How did I fail my driver's test actually? My driver's test for the first time ever. So boom, this is how it went. So I got my permit back in February 2021 and I did it online, which was cool. It made it more easier and everything. You know, I did the permit test at home. I didn't go to the DMV. You know, giving me that option made it so much easier for me. Perfectly, really grateful. So let's continue. So I went to this school by my job, and I'm not gonna say any names. If you guys want to know the name of the school, let me know, hit me up. I wouldn't want to put them out there like that. Pussy. I did make a review on their page on Google and everything, but besides that though, I went to this school by my I went to the driving school by my job, and I feel like, starting with me, I think I rushed a lot of things, because instead of taking the permit, I took the permit with a different school. Instead of going back to that school for their driving class, I went to a whole different school just because it was convenient and it was close to my job, and which was a plus. It really was a plus, but I didn't get the quality that I needed. So I went to that school, and you know, I was taking my driver's class or whatever, and I had a guy. He was my driving instructor. He was terrible. From a scale of 1 to 10, I give him 5. The reason it is because this guy has no skill. He has no skill at all, and I said that on the review on Google. You didn't have any skills. So he, you know, I was in the car and everything. I met him. I said hello, whatever, and stuff. And you know, as I was taking classes with him, he has this urge. He doesn't have patience, and he has this urge to just yell at you. Like, when you turn your wheel, you must turn. Like, no, sir, you can't be yelling at me. Last time I checked, it says beginners. You know what I'm saying? He was coming at me. He had no patience, no nothing, no type of skill. Like, show me when to turn. Show me when I should do these things. You know what I'm saying? And his patience was just so not there. So fast forward, like, let's just push it to when I had to take my driver's class. So my driver's test. So as time went by, I had a package, and I ran out of classes in my package. And I didn't learn much. I didn't learn anything. So I went back to the school where I got my permit, right? This is where I messed up at. I went back to the school where I did my permit and got my permit from, and I took some classes with them before my test. Before my driver's test. And I believe my driver's test was like the next month. And let me tell you something, their car was great. They use like a Toyota or whatever. A Toyota. That's the type of car they use. And the instructors were so like great. They were like amazing. I really messed with them, and they had patience. They had skills. They showed me skills. They showed me what I should look at before I turn, such as if my car is aligned in a certain way, that's how you know you'll turn properly straight on the street and stuff. You know, they had skill. They taught me a few things, and you know, it was great. The experience was great. So as time went on, I took some classes there and stuff, and my road test was coming out. So my road test came, but the only thing is, where I messed up at, my road test was with the other school, which was the bad school. I should have just stayed with the school I started with the first time with the permit. Anyways, it was the day of my road test, and they never called me. The school never called me. They never contacted me. They never did any of that. Well, hold on. I went too far in. So it was the day before my road test, and since I knew I was going to use the car that company I was gonna use the car with that company, with the bad school. I was like, you know what, let me drive with the car they have so I can get used to it before the test. But instead of getting the same driver instructor that I had, which was a bad driving instructor, I got a whole different instructor. And another thing too, I drove at nighttime. So 2 red flags. I drove at night and I had a different instructor and also a different car. 3 red flags. You know, driving at night is cool and all, but let's be real. Up here in New York, you ain't gonna drive at night for a road test. I don't even think that's possible. Everything is like morning to afternoon. So I'm over here driving and everything, right? Like driving with her and stuff. And I was doing pretty good. But you know, I think car matters. Cars do matter. It does matter. Most people would be like, if you know how to drive a car, different cars wouldn't matter. Well, as a beginner driver, cars matter. You're used to one car, you're gonna be used to that car. You understand what I mean? So I'm over here, you know, I did pretty well. She said I did really good and she heard that my test is tomorrow. Right? I'm like, yeah, thanks. The next day come, they never followed up with me with anything. They never told me anything. They never said come to the school, nothing. So I had to call them in the morning. I was like, you guys didn't contact me or let me know what time I was supposed to be at the school for you guys to drive me to my road test. And they was just like, oh, okay, just come here at da-da-da-da. I don't remember the time. But anyways, I reached there to the school and I'm sitting there with pure confidence like, yeah, I'm gonna pass this, that, and third. But I had this range, like this energy, this negative, nervous energy I felt in my body. Because in my head, I'm like, you guys didn't call me for a reason, number one. Number two, it feels weird in here. Like, you know when you go someplace and things doesn't make sense? I don't know how to explain, but you just feel it, like something's off. So I'm sitting there and I'm chilling. And next thing you know, my driver's instructor, the bad one, mind you, remember, I'm at the bad school and everything, and then my instructor came in. And then they were like, oh, hey, let's just call him Damien. Hey, Damien, your student, Alexis, is sitting right there. He's like, oh, okay. And like ignored me. And I'm like, I don't even care. I haven't seen him for like a month because I never came back. That's when I went to the other school, drove with them, and then I came over here. Wait, hold on. So I haven't seen him for a month. So I wasn't driving with him. I drove with the other school. So I'm sitting here chilling. I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't care about the energy. I'm not going to let that mess me up on my test because I'm confident I'm going to pass. So they asked me, they was like, do I want to do a lesson? Like, I straight said no. Like, no, I don't want to do a lesson in front of him, everything. I don't care. Like, hell no. And then they're just like, okay. So I think it was weird to them that I didn't want to do a practice drive with him or in general, since that was the day of my road test, which made sense. I probably should have, just to get used to the car and everything and just to get a feel of it since I haven't drove in it for a month. But yeah, I just didn't want to do it. So I took the chance. So fast forward, he drove me there to the road test and I'm using his car and everything. And you know, I'm watching some YouTube videos on turning and whatever and everything. And I'm just like, all right, whew, I got this. Then he started explaining to me what to get prepared for, starting the car, giving the guy the permit stuff. I'm like, all right, bet. So I get inside the car. As you know, time goes by. By the way, I did my test at Beverly Road. I'm from, Beverly Road, Brooklyn, Beverly Road. That road test site is not that bad. It's really not that bad. There's a lot of stop signs though, so you have to stop like twice and stuff. But Beverly Road is pretty cool. It's pretty cool, laid back, nothing too serious. So I'm over here. Next thing you know, it's time for me to start and drive and stuff. So the instructor comes in. I'm like, hey, how are you? Give him my permit and everything. And I asked if he's ready. He was like, yeah. So I'm doing pretty good. I, turn left on the wheel to get out of parking. And I drive straight or whatever. So I'm driving straight. There's a red stop sign. Stop there. Then I did my left turn. Did really good on my turn. And then boom, as I wait there, I'm sitting there and stuff, I see a pedestrian. The pedestrian did not go.
She did not cross.
And I'm like, I bet. So I guess I'm gonna go. But mine, it's a stop sign. It's not like a stoplight, it's a stop sign. So I'm like, all right, you know, I gave her a few seconds. She ain't go. So she didn't go. So I turned another left and everything. The instructor was like, oh, well, hold on before we get there. So I'm going straight, right? And he was like, we're gonna park right behind that black car. I'm like, all right, cool. So mind you, this car doesn't feel too right with me or anything, and I blame the car and I blame myself as well, but we'll get to that. So as I'm driving and I'm like, all right, time to get close. My ass is going pretty fast. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm going pretty fast. And his brakes, those brakes are so much different from the car I was using at the other school. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like these brakes, you have to be very gentle, slowly, like press on it slowly in order for it to stop completely. And I'm like, damn. So I passed the freaking car. I'm supposed to park there and I passed it. And I'm like, ah, shit. So then he was just like, you know what? You passed it. We'll try again. So I'm going to the other one. I'm going a little bit more slower. I go by the car, and then I'm like, I'm trying to get close to the car. So I'm over here turning the steering wheel to the right, trying to get closer to the other car so I'm able to park. I don't know what the fuck happened, but that, and I ain't lined up with the ears. You know, the cars with the side mirrors? You know, every car to me look like a dog. I know, it's weird. Every car to me look like a freaking dog. Like, if you sit there in the middle and look in the car, like, one day go outside, go in front of a car and look in the middle. The side mirrors are the ears. The lights is the freaking eyes. And you know how a dog look. Ears, eyes. It looks like a dog. But yeah. The freaking side mirror, the freaking ears, is like sitting there, and I'm like, because I know I have to get close to it a certain way. I couldn't get close to it, and then I knew I didn't do it right. I knew I didn't line up properly, and I was just like, whatever. So he was just like, oh, just to let you know you're going fast. He didn't look back. He didn't turn on your signals. He didn't do this, that's that. Like, he was telling me everything that I do. And with the lady, the pedestrian, he was like, oh, well, with her now, you could have waited to see if she was going to cross. I understand you wanted to make the turn, but you should have just waited. Well, I said that to myself, but like, the lady did not move. She didn't do anything. Like, if she wanted to cross, she would have crossed. But I guess you can't be saying that, or you can't even think that for the test, I should say. So I'm over here about to park and everything. So I'm going back. Yeah, so the back of my wheel is on the freaking sidewalk. Okay, he looked back, he was like, you're on the sidewalk, like you're on the sidewalk. I'm like, oh yeah, I failed my test. I said that to him, everything. He just looked at me. I'm like, yeah, I failed my test, whatever. I didn't even care no more. So after that, my ass is driving back. We're going back to the alright, so we're driving back and stuff and everything, and I'm just driving. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna still try to pass. The fuck, I ain't gonna act like a dumbass. So I'm stopping at the stop sign. I'm supposed to stop twice. Stop once for pedestrian, stop the second time for cars. And I'm just looking. I'm like, all right. So I ain't see no cars, and the car that I did see, well, I think I saw or did not see. I don't freaking know. I'm looking, I'm like, all right, it's safe for me to go.
Safe for me to go, keyword, safe for me to go.
And then he said, oh, he saw I know for sure he saw the student driver on
car. If he was a regular driver, he probably cursed you out.
Sir. I'm sitting here like, okay, with this big, like I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go back and drive back. He's like, all right. So I'm in the area where he picked us up and we like, started and we drove off from, which is like the Grave area. If you guys know where Beverly Road is, up here in Brooklyn, New York, it's like the Grave area. So he was like, oh, go and pull over, right? Mind you, my teacher's across the street, the bad instructor's across the street. And I'm like, all right, he want me to pull over. I'm over here pulling over. I pulled over on some Fast and the Furious shit, and I'm like, woo, on the freaking brakes. I'm like, oh shit, I went fast as fuck. And I know that embarrassed my instructor so freaking much. I know that had him on the edge. I just know. And then like everybody's there just like, oh my gosh, he went mad fast to pull over. And then when I stopped, he looked at me, he was like,
you need to go slower. Like, you need to take your time and go slower.
When you freaking, you know, pull over. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, with a smile on my face, looking at me like, I'm like, thank you though. I really do appreciate it and everything. Because one thing about him, he did have a lot of patience with me, and he seemed like when he was telling me the things I was doing, he was telling me as in trying to help me, not saying it in a way of, well, you did terrible, or like what the, you know, it was like more of a, you know, this is the stuff you need to do. And he did go into detail what I should do and everything, and it is what it is. I failed. Like, I knew I failed. So he gave me a card and was like, after 6 p.m. go on this website and put in my information to see if I passed the road test. But I already knew I failed, and I told him thank you, I appreciate it. So I went to the passenger side, and you know, my driving instructor came in the car, and there was pure silence. Like, the silence was so loud. I was just sitting there, just was like, oh my gosh, like, I know I failed, but it is what it is. Like, I was hurt a little bit. You know, who's not gonna be hurt? And it don't matter. The only way I fail is if I give up, and I ain't gonna give up. I didn't give up. I did pass my road test though. I took it a second time with the good school, used their car and everything, and I did pass my road test. I really, really did. Long story short, guys, let's end this video. Stick with your first option. Name of the school that I passed from is what's called Pierre Driving School. I'll put it down below in the descriptions, right down below, the name of the school I went to, and I do recommend them. They have a lot of patience. All the instructors are good. Even if you're getting a different instructor, it does not matter. All of them are very good instructors. They have great ratings on Google. I will put the link down for the website, everything down below. And yeah, it was a great experience at first. And you know, it's fine. At the end of the day, I did pass my freaking driver's exam, and I am truly freaking grateful. Your girl is whipping, you feel me? But besides that though, thank you so much guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe to your girl. And
anyways, my broskies, I gotta bounce on your boy's dick.